The Sisters of Dorley by Alyson Greaves. Read by Robin Nolan. Chapter 18, We Don't Take Boys for Fun. 2019, November 28th, Thursday. The crack of Christine's spine as she stretches is astonishingly sharp in the near-empty hospital foyer, and she curses under her breath. She shouldn't have spent the night in that horrible chair. Her ass feels almost bruised from where the padding was worn thin, and when she pulls up her sleeves, she has marks on her elbows from the bare wooden arms, and Christ, her back is killing her. She should have moved. She should have camped onto the couch in the corner of the room, but by the time she thought about it, Abby was fast asleep on her shoulder. Now her whole body feels like a knuckle she can't get to pop, and her top is damp from where Abby had dribbled on it. She rolls her spine again, moans loudly at the pain, and ignores the irritated glances from the handful of people dotted around the room. And she suddenly has to stifle a giggle because she's realized a bunch of strangers just looked at her and they didn't care in the slightest. They looked at her and she brushed it off. She used to run, she used to hide, and when she was trying to become a better woman, she'd do her best to simply ignore it. Suffering through lectures, workshops, and the visits to the student union bar while hyper-aware of everyone around her. They could all see through her, she thought, to the boy inside, and all it would take would be for her to say the wrong thing, or move the wrong way, or laugh at the wrong joke, and suddenly everyone's suspicions would be confirmed. But today, nothing. Now she comes to think about it, she spent the whole night here, and much of the previous day interacting with doctors and nurses and orderlies and random people in the queue for vending machines, and not once has she feared discovery. Not once has the possibility even occurred to her. She'll have to tell Paige. She'd be delighted. Ever since that day at the mall with Pippa, the day they got back together, Paige has been working on her. She's been dragging her to clubs, bars, shops, cafes. She's walked around her at the art gallery and university grounds, provided Christine all the evidence that she could ask for that she is, as far as anyone else is concerned, simply another ordinary girl. And the fear that someone might somehow intuit her maleness has, in the face of Paige's patient and loving efforts, simply faded away. Hell, they even kissed on the escalator in the middle of Armsworth Mall, and the most anyone did was hiss at their 6-year-old. Those girls are kissing to stop staring. Just an ordinary girl. Well, damn. Finally, she has the invisibility she once craved. A small, perverse part of her chafes at the idea of just being assumed to be like everyone else, but that's easily ignored. She can be a weirdo back home, where it's safe with all the other weirdos. Another thing she owes Paige. The bad sleep starts to catch up with her again and robs her of her balance, punishing her for her moment of introspection, so she leans against the wall, outsourcing the job of keeping herself upright to 100,000 tons of brick, concrete, and tacky glass frontage. If she makes it to tonight without dropping face first into a bed, a couch, or a comfy enough brace of cushions, it'll be a miracle. She pictures the edifice of Dorley Hall rising up in front of her as she staggers the last few meters home, and she has to stop herself laughing at how the place has completely taken her over. Dorley Hall, her home, would have been an incomprehensible thought just 2 years ago. Coffee, Abby says, announcing her presence and her purchases. Coffee, Christine agrees, jerking away from the wall long enough to accept a paper cup and then slumping back. She points an accusatory finger. You dribbled on me. It's okay to say it now they both have coffee and thus upgraded themselves from non-functional to pre-functional and able to absorb mild critique. It's not my fault you're so comfortable. Abby sits in one of the chairs, bolted close to the foyer and bolted the foyer floor and rose. You didn't have to stand, you know. I do, Christine winters at her and rubs her back like an octogenarian. I feel like I have burning insects crawling around in my spine. Why'd they have to kick us out anyway? At 0600 on the dot, they were woken by a nurse who shooed them out of Maria's room and insisted they go get some air and come back at 8. And stumbling, half awake, they'd obeyed. They barely spoke in the elevator down, each of them still blowing cobwebs out of their brains. And on the ground floor, Abby left immediately in search of someone or something that would sell her some coffee, and Christine just sort of stopped for a few minutes, reactivating every little while like a toy on low batteries to stretch her back and be grateful that nothing was currently drooling on her. Abby raised an eyebrow. They were always going to kick us out. This is a hospital, Chrissy. Christine would be offended just by the patronizing tone if she didn't think in her current state that it was probably warranted. Just be grateful this isn't the NHS, or we'd be up on our ears last night and Maria wouldn't have had anyone to talk to when she woke up at 3. Wait, Maria woke up at 3? She thought she was being attacked again. Fuck. Grimacing, Abby says, I'm getting the feeling that this might have unearthed some bad stuff she's been keeping buried. She looked kind of wild, but I talked her down. You helped, actually. I did? Yeah, it was really sudden. She sat up, far too fast for my comfort, and she looked like she was going to yell out. But then she clapped her hand over her mouth and held her breath. She was all wide-eyed, and honestly, I thought she was terrified, but then you started talking in your sleep. What? I think this disturbance sort of half woke you. You were talking to Paige, I think, in your dream, and listening to you calm Maria down enough for me to get through to her. She said to tell you that you're very, very cute when you're asleep. Good, Christine says, and takes a sarcastic slurp. Great, thank you. Message conveyed, I'm cute. Come on, Abby says, nudging her. You know Paige loves it. Paige isn't mean to me, Christine says, and takes the plastic lid off so she can blow in her coffee, more to punctuate the retort than anything else. Would they have really kicked us out if this was an NHS hospital? Yes, Abby says. Visiting hours are a thing. You never been in an NHS hospital? When Christine shakes her head, Abby pokes her. Rich girls. Hey, I was a rich boy, thank you very much. As a girl, I've had to take a job down in the boy-torturing mines just to make ends meet, just like everyone else. Keep your voice down? What? Christine says. Why? Why? It takes her a moment. Oh, shit. Sorry, I think I'm too tired to filter. No one noticed, I think, Abby says quietly. Maybe restrict yourself to nods until your brain starts working? Christine nods. It's fortunate for her and Dorley both that their secrets are so ridiculous the odd slip-up just flies right over people's heads. They're finally allowed back in at around 8:30, and by then Christine's spine is even more sore, but it's worth it to see Maria sitting up in bed, eating a Weetabix and smiling at them. When I come home, Maria says, as Christine and Abby sit down, I want us to diversify the boys' breakfasts away from Weetabix and not just a porridge 3 times a week. She regards her spoonful, frowns at it, and lays carefully back in the bowl, contents uneaten. We should get them something nice. Something that distracts them a bit from what we're doing to them. Abby leans forward. I don't think cereal would. Did you ever have those variety packs? They were like a treat. Like, you'd go on holiday with your family, wake up at this whole new beautiful place, and downstairs in the bed and breakfast they'd have a little buffet out. But you wouldn't care about toast or eggs or anything, because in the middle of every table there'd be a multi-pack of portion-sized cereal boxes, all cellophane together. She smiles and her eyes wander the room, wincing when they come into contact with a thin shaft of light in the curtains emit in the center. Abby, she says, can we get more curtains in here? Is that something we can do? It's so bright, Abby. It's so bloody bright. Can we call Elle and tell her they're not giving me enough curtains? Can we... Abby leans over and pulls the privacy shade around the bed, all the way along to Maria's feet, blocking out more of the light. Maria sighs and visibly relaxes, lets her torso sink into the mattress. Christine hadn't even realized she was so tense. Abby had, clearly. Christine's reminded once again that she doesn't know Maria all that well, except as something of an antagonist during her second year at Dorley, when Maria became more actively involved with Christine's intake. Abby's been a part of things for a lot longer and knows a lot more, including who this Elle person is, probably. Thank you, Abigail, Maria says, smiling wide and getting momentarily distracted again by the sensation of her front teeth resting on her lower lip. B will be here soon, Abby says, sitting down again. Out of sight of Maria, she reaches out for one of Christine's hands and squeezes. The gesture is nice and Christine knows the reason behind it, but the more time she's spent here, the less she's been reminded of her mother. For one thing, Maria isn't dazedly begging for her abuser to come back to her, she's dazedly reminiscing about cereal. When? Maria asks urgently. Soon, Abby repeats, and Maria nods and settles into the pillow. I remember it so clearly, sitting at the table in the bed and breakfast, red and white squares on the tablecloth like something off the TV. Maria giggles. It was so stupidly perfect, like when you'd watch a show and you wish it could be in it and suddenly I was. I can see myself breaking open the wrapping, picking out a box of crunchy nut cornflakes and pouring out the blue top milk, which I was allowed because we were on holiday. Mum was smiling at me as I eat, Dad assembling a breakfast plate which fit the maximum amount of food without spilling over the edges. She meets Christine's eye. Sorry, I think my mind's just wandering a bit. Christine smiles at her. Yours and mine both, she says. At least you have an excuse. I'm just sleepy. I miss my mum, Maria says. Christine's never heard her talk much about her family, her old family, before. Judging by the look in Abby's face, neither has she. I miss her so much. She had the sweetest laugh. I could tell her the stupidest joke, the most page one of the joke book crap, and she'd laugh just because it was me telling it. And Dad, he could cook. He'd make soy sauce chicken once a week because I always asked for it, and he'd start a whole thing about how he was so tired, he'd worked so hard, and wouldn't I prefer something quicker? And then he'd laugh and tell me I could have it if only I agreed to do all of my homework. And I would promise I'd get all my books out on the kitchen table and he'd prepare it in front of me. And we'd be eating it together, the three of us. She sniffs and winces against the pain. Always together, sitting in the front room, eating chicken, watching telly, the sunset streaming through the blinds. How is it possible to miss something so simple so much? Abby reaches into her bag and hands tissues to Maria, who doesn't seem to know what to do with them, so Abby takes them and dabs at Maria's eyes until she comes back to the present. She smiles weakly at Abby and takes over the task for herself. When she's done, she shuffles around in bed, sits up a little higher, rearranges the covers for comfort. You okay, Maria? Abby asks. Yeah, she replies after consideration. I'm going to close my eyes for a bit, if that's okay? She does so, and Christine, who doesn't feel up to checking on the Dorley group chat, the private consensus channels, or her personal messages just yet, leans her head on Abby's shoulder and catches a little sleep of her own. Hopefully she'll drool. It's a little after 9 that Aunt B arrives, bursting through the door and looking considerably less put together than she usually does, having come straight from a car or plane or train or delivering from her wherever she goes on her days away from Dorley. She rushes to Maria's bedside, taking the chair that Abby vacates for her. Christine groggily maneuvers her own chair out of reach, uncomfortable with being too involved in what's undoubtedly about to happen. My Maria, B says, running a finger down Maria's bare arm. Maria cracks her eyes open. Hey, Auntie, she says. How are you feeling? Maria opens her hand and lets B lock fingers with her. Oh, I'm thriving. Turns out having a dickhead slam your skull into the floor is incredible for productivity. Christine can't see B's face, but can imagine her reaction to Maria's flippant description of her assault in the way that she flinches. Christine finds the sarcasm reassuring. So much of growing up, again, in Dorley is about looking to the older women who surround you and drawing confidence from their comfort. And to see Maria, the most constant adult present in Christine's recent life aside from Maria, Indira and Beatrice herself, so vulnerable, has been unnerving. He'll be punished, Aunt B says. Okay, Maria says, but Auntie, don't wash him out. Or his pals. This whole thing was mostly my fault. Don't say that, Aunt B says. Don't be ridiculous, Abby says at the same time. We push them, Maria insists, leaning up out of the pillow. And we change them, all while denying it, and we expect them to push back. She looks eyes with B. It's part of it. It's how it works, how it has to work for some of them, and I just got careless. She drops back again, energy spent, and continues, sounding out of breath. I gave a big speech in the morning how it was going to be the day for shit to hit the fan, and when nothing happened in the first few hours, I let my guard down. I let people go before their replacements arrived. Yeah, they all had good reasons, getting back to work, getting to class, blah, 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 but it's not procedure. And then, she closes her eyes for a moment, summoning more energy. Then I turned my back. My fault. I don't accept that, B says. We had 2 cushy years in a row, Maria says, smiling again, where the biggest troublemakers were girls like Faye and Jodie and Paige and, well, you. Christine realizes she's being referred to and smiles sheepishly back. You made a fuss. Of course you did. How could we not, with what we were doing to you, but you didn't attack us. Of course not, Christine mumbles, looking away, playing with her wrists. We got complacent. She tabs at her chest with a thumb, got complacent. We picked up some guys with histories of violence and then treated them like we did you. After all, the kid gloves mostly worked on Faye and she was okay, nothing like Will or the others, but she was a step above you, Christine. She shakes her head and winces, hand to her temple. I was stupid. Not at all, B insists. Maria shrugs. We can talk about it another time, but no washing out, okay? Okay, keep him in the cells, but do the enrichment program and we're on it already, B says smoothly. I was thinking we could run a split population for a while. Will and Ollie and Raph on one schedule and Steph and the free-range boys on the other. It's more work, but we're already on it, B repeats. And Edith can handle it. Maria blinks, apparently caught short by someone having anticipated her ideas, but then she grins. Actually, she can't, she says. Indira put her on herding duty, so the second years are all just one big cuddle pile at this point. I want Edie here, with me, and taking me home when it's time, so I gave her the week off. The hell you did. The hell I did, Maria confirms. Remember when you gave me? She switches to a sing-song tone, picks up her phone and waves it in time with her voice. It's open on the timetabling app. Operational control? Before anyone can reply, she winces, drops the phone, and holds a hand to her forehead, closing her eyes again. Maria, B says, leaning in closer. I'm okay. It comes and goes. Aunt B strokes Maria's cheek. My poor little angel, she says. I'm so glad you're okay. I am too, Auntie. Their voices drop to whispers. Abby pulls on Christine's hand, dragging her up for a chair and out of the room. She closes the door quietly behind them and leans on the wall opposite and exhales deeply. I think we don't want to intrude on that, Abby says. Yeah, Christine says. They're close. Like mother and daughter. Christine laughs without humour. Feel like everyone misses their mum except me. You really don't miss her at all? I missed something, but my whole life before the hall was so fucked up. I'm not the same person I was when she knew me. Even if I wanted, I feel like Christine's fingers twitch and she wishes once again for a cigarette or anything to do with her fingers beyond not her fingers together. And she makes a fist and presses it against the wall. Like I don't get to miss her. Like I don't deserve to miss her. The boy who had that right, he's gone, and they stopped looking for him a long time ago. Christine, Abby says, and when Christine looks up, she's close. Really close, with a gentle hand on her shoulder she hadn't even noticed. You okay? Yeah, Christine says. I am, actually, she points at her forehead. Some good shit's been happening in here, you know, just some less good shit, too. I've been thinking about stuff, like you were last night. Yeah, feeling kind of shitty about going to pieces in a crisis. She shrugs against the weight of Abby's hand. Mum stuff, like I said, which comes with dad stuff. Hey, Abby says, squeezing Christine's shoulder and letting her go, the better to gesticulate. Eddie wouldn't have sent you here if she didn't trust you. And you did everything you needed to do. In fact, you're so together, I can see why the sponsors keep forgetting you haven't technically graduated. You seem more like them than the other girls in your year. You take that back, Christine says, but she smiles in case her tone didn't make the joke clear. Only kind of a joke, though, she adds silently. I'm serious. Vicky graduated, sure, nice and early, like the girly girl she almost definitely would have become at some point without her help, but then she immediately left Dorley and only comes back for meals and to steal our food or estradiol. And yes, Christine, I think everyone knows that by now. She's not as sneaky as you. Jodie is on a pretty standard trajectory, goth version, and Julia and Yasmin are the deal by not dealing sort. They'll graduate and leave, and I expect we'll only hear from them when they want to renegotiate their stipends. That leaves you and Paige. And Paige is, for all her gifts, less temperamentally suited to all this stuff. And she'd never do it in a million years. As is her right, Abby says. Christine nods, and wonders if Abby, too, feels like a morally compromised monster whenever Paige voices her objections. Objections Christine shares in theory, but which never seem to actually matter when it comes to her day-to-day interactions with the program. You two still doing okay? Abby asks, and then, observing the inevitable blush that floods Christine's cheeks and the shy smile she can't keep down, says, I'll take that as a yes. She pokes Christine, who squeals and wriggles away, batting at Abby's fingers. Bloody Abby, always able to make things better. Through the narrow glass in the window and the door, Christine spots B sat right up against Maria's bed, leaning on the mattress and stroking Maria's forehead with her thumb. They really are close. Would it be so bad to let Maria reconnect with her real parents? Christine says, voicing the thought as soon as it crosses her mind. We can't, Abby says, suddenly serious, and grabbing Christine by the shoulder and firmly dragging her away from the door, out of Maria's line of sight. And be careful when you say stuff like that. But surely she, of all people... No, she can't, Abby says, and she steps closer before she continues. Because they're dead. We're all she has. Beatrice, Edie, and the rest of us. All she has. Maria in the bed, fingers linked with Aunt B, like mother and daughter. Shit. No wonder it seems like she'll never leave. Maria's one of the last graduates from grandmother's time, and while Christine doesn't know much about that period, she knows that grandmother didn't exactly prioritize was making the girls socially functional. The survivors have gradually been peeling away from Dorley Hall over the last half-decade as they acclimate to the world away from grandmother, establishing lives for themselves elsewhere, but Maria's never shown the slightest indication she might follow her sisters, and Christine's never known exactly why. Her close bond with Aunt B has always been her best guess, followed by the assumption that Maria is essentially institutionalized, which is starting to look a little unfair of her. What happened to them? She asks. You probably shouldn't know this, Abby whispers, and I know I shouldn't, but the hierarchy around here keeps shrinking and it seems really keen on gobbling you up. So, in the interest of you avoiding putting your foot in your mouth, Maria's parents were killed by grandmother. Grandmother! Christine slaps her hand over her mouth. Yes, or her people. Same difference. Did she kill everyone's family? Christine asks, as the bloody history of grandmother's regime expands into her mind to include rooms full of children, parents, grandparents, all dead for one woman's satisfaction. No, it was a punishment reserved for the most unruly, and a stupid one too, because once you've done it, you can't do it again, and now the girl knows you've got nothing left to hurt her with, but they did it anyway, because grandmother's lot were cruel. Cruel for the sake of it. Cruel for fun. Cruel just to see what would happen. Maria fought them, and they killed her parents and showed her the proof. How the fuck did grandmother get away with shit like that? She had money and connections, Abby says, just like we do. But she always meant to pick up boys with criminal convictions. Something minor, shoplifting, purse snatching, enough to get in the system. Please don't look too hard for some missing working class 20-year-old at the best of times, but if he has a record, barely worth them getting out of their seats for. And if the devastated family, years after he vanishes themselves, or open quotes commit suicide, well, that's all very explicable, isn't it? She spits it, unable to keep her snarl contained. Especially those boys, especially those families, just happen to be poor and from backgrounds the authorities feel the country could do without. Practically natural causes. Jesus. In my darker moments, Abby says, I have told myself that we're no different to grandmother, just with a shiny coat of girl boss paint and stupid crockery. But we don't take boys for fun. We take them because we think they can be saved and to protect the people around them. And we make sure their families have access to therapists, get them the money if they need it, etc. I have so many justifications. Do they help? Sometimes. At least we have Indira's pilot program now for reconnecting with families. Is that a thing we're doing? I thought that was just Dira made a huge pain in the ass of herself until B finally gave in. Well, yeah, Abby says, smiling. That's how it started, but we're watching the situation. If, in 5 years, it all seems okay, we can think about reuniting more people. But never Maria. No. 5 years. That's a long time. Yeah, Abby says, after a pause, and leans her head against the wall. It really is. What about... Oh, shit, shush. Maria, still operating on poor sleep and very slow on the uptake, is about to ask why when the door to Maria's room opens and Aunt B steps out, damp-cheeked and tired. She looks away while she wipes her face with a wet wipe. Christine and Abby both do her the courtesy of concentrating very hard on the floor. Thank you both for staying with her, Aunt B says. Anytime, Abby says. B gives her a quick nod and turns to Christine. Victoria has agreed to pick you up on her way to campus. She'll find you in the car park in about 10 minutes. Fine, Christine says. Thank you for arranging that. She hadn't given much thought as to how she was going to get home. Abigail, I'd like you to stay with me a little bit longer, if you please, until Edith arrives. Christine pops her head back into the room, but Maria's asleep again, so she hugs Abby, gives Aunt B an embarrassed smile, and finds the ground floor on her first try. Feeling increasingly fatigued, she wobbles out to the railing in the parking lot to wait for Vicky and her distinctive car. It doesn't take long for the hatchback with the one blue door to pull up and for Vicky to leap out of the driver's side and envelop her in a hug. And when Vicky lets her go, Christine has to fend off Lorna too. Lorna's face is slightly rougher against her cheek than Vicky's. Maybe they can get her some money for laser or electrolysis or something. Christine can't get the families out of her mind. Years of wreckage left in Dorley's wake, and it would be nice to do something unambiguously good for a change. Deposited in the back seat, Christine fills them in on Maria's condition, and as they pull out of the car park, she finally checks to see the group chat and to see how the Dorley consensus server is doing. 1,047 new messages. Okay, then maybe she'll deal with her personal stuff first. 63 new messages. Fuck it. Christine ignores them all, messages everyone on her internal contact list with a quick update on Maria's situation and a stern warning that anyone who happens to find her asleep later today, no matter how unusual the position or location, and decides to wake her up will be subscribed on all their accounts to every recipe newsletter, grey market video game key selling service, and off-brand bulk sex toy website she can find, and switches to the Consensus app. She scrolls past pages and pages of messages from anxious Dorley women who are both worried about Maria indulging in rather lurid revenge fantasies with Will, Raph, and Ollie in starring roles. She stops to read Edie's pin post rebuking them, adds a reaction emoji, and continues scrolling. The photo of Maria showing the V sign is up everywhere, and by 3 a.m, after Abby hopped into the channel and posted an update to confirm that Maria is still okay, the few people awake early enough started to meme on it, pasting Maria into other images and designing the odd mug. Relief makes people feel giddy. It also makes them bad at Photoshop. Christine saves a few of the better ones and jumps straight down to the bottom so she can make a post for anyone not on her contact list. One of the last messages is from Monica, inquiring about Maria's hormones, and Christine watches Eddie's reply pop up. She'll be taking them over when she starts next week's leave. Good for her, in a few hours. Shit, Christine says, swiping the app and closing the phone into her bag. I didn't bring pills last night. Vic, I don't suppose you have any on you. It takes her a while to process the silence in the car, and she looks up to Vicky in the rearview mirror, giving her the most intense stare she's ever... Shit! Lorna is not supposed to know about that. I feel terrible if I don't take my vitamins, she adds quickly. Vicky affects exasperation. It probably doesn't take much effort. Why would I have vitamins in my car, Tina? I don't know. She waves a mollifying hand. Sorry, my brain is just completely fried. I slept in a chair last night and Abby slept on me. I was babbling away in the lobby too. Just ignore me. Let's get you home then, Vicky says, and you can eat all the vitamin pills you can find. Christine hopes the strange look in all Lorna's giving her is harmless and not, for example, a sign that she's just made a huge mistake, and rather than say anything else and make the situation worse, she directs her attention firmly and uninterruptedly out of the window for the rest of the drive, watching the outskirts of the town become the long tail of the Royal College of St. Armsworth campus and eventually the parking lot nearest Dorley Hall. Home. It's Pippa who wakes him, tapping on the forehead he squints, in lieu of focusing his eyes properly, which is a feat that's clearly beyond him his morning. Yes, her taser. Wake up, sleepyhead, she says. Do you have to wield that thing at me? What thing? Pippa says, and finally notices what she's holding. Oh, sorry, we got a lecture about keeping them on hand after, it's too early for tasers. It's way past 9. Still too early for tasers. She backs off and gives Stefan room to wiggle around in his sleeping bag, freeing up limbs that got trapped in the folds overnight. To his left and right, disgruntled noises suggest the boys are waking up too, stretching, yawning, and bumping into furniture they pushed out of the way to make room for the impromptu sleepover. Last night, things became rather less structured than Stefan or the boys have become used to. With a common room full of sponsors, and people like Paige, who were definitely not sponsors but didn't, she told Stefan in a quiet moment, run away fast enough when Eddie was rounding people up. Adam started getting antsy, and it fell to Stefan and Aaron to try and keep him calm and distracted. Stefan tried not to let his heart sink when he imagined how much of his near future was going to involve managing Adam. Aaron's been enough work on his own. When it became clear to the assembled Dorley sisters that none of the 4 who remained were likely to try anything funny, the room mostly cleared out. A relief given how many of them had tried to talk to Stefan or looked at him in ways that he found uncomfortable. He suspected at the first opportunity he was going to go quietly into pieces over just how fucking seen he had been. So when Pippa suggested to Edie that the boys sleep together in the common area rather than face the night alone, he enthusiastically backed her. It had been Edie who supplied the spare pillows, roll-out mattresses, and so on, with Jane's help. Jane, Raph's sponsor, took the opportunity provided by laying everything out to complain to the room about how she's always getting the difficult ones, about having to get up early next morning to feed a fucking pillock, which Stefan suspected was only half about letting off steam and half about making a point to the remaining boys. Behave. Edie, meanwhile, took Adam aside and spoke to him quietly. At the end of their conversation, they hugged and Edie stroked Adam's hair, clearing it out of his eyes and smoothing it down at the sides. Stefan's been meaning to ask someone what the hell's going on with these two. Come on, Pippa says, gesturing with a finger, her taser now reassuringly hooked to her wide belt. Up, up, up. Breakfast in 10. That's not the enticement you think it is, Aaron mutters. There's a smell Stefan associates with groups of boys who have gone too long without a shower. The one time he agreed to sleep over at the house of one of Russ's friends in the rec room with 5 boys, the room reeked in the morning, but the common area has none of the musky odor he expects. Is that something that changes with estrogen or the lack of testosterone, or is it something else entirely to do with their diet and he's just looking for reasons to believe that it's the HRT taking effect because it comforts him? Self-consciously, he turns away and presses softly around his nipples. Still sensitive, still fleshy. Nothing you could really yet call a boob. Patience. In this place, where he barely has time to adjust to the status quo before it changes under his feet, and where he seems to keep accumulating new responsibilities, it feels like an imposition. It takes them a few minutes to clear up the sleeping bags, and then Pippa's ushering them into the dining room, ignoring Aaron's complaints that it would be better to preserve the sleepover atmosphere if they got to eat in front of the TV and maybe put some cartoons on. Edie sat there, right at the head of the table, with Pippa on her left and Indira. Stefan recognizes her from the staff files on her right. Indira catches him looking at her and smirks, raising an eyebrow. Christine's sponsor, he knows. She's only had good things to say about her. And then there were 4, Indira says, putting on an ominous voice. Edie nudges her and shakes her head, which only broadens Indira's smile. Good morning, Edie says. We have some announcements to make. You might want to start on your breakfast. Do we have to? Aaron gripes, as Stefan drops a couple of Weetabix into a bowl and pushes it and the oat milk in front of the boy, ignoring Indira's undisguised amusement. Aaron grudgingly pours milk, and Stefan fills a bowl for himself. Yes, Martin says. Surprising, he rarely interjects. He rarely says anything much. He's smiling when Stefan glances over, which is beyond unexpected and firmly in creepy territory. He's also helping Adam with his bowl, which is the point at which Stefan decides that the events of yesterday has so upset the balance in the basement that his ability to predict events has dropped to near zero. How's Maria doing? Stefan asks, before Edie can say anything else. He can guess that she hasn't taken a downturn, judging by the fact that Indira seems to be having a whale of a time just watching him make sure Aaron eats breakfast, but it's better to know for certain. She's awake and she's talking, Edie says, and she's asked that, whatever the vengeful instincts of certain people, William, Raphael, and Oliver are not going to be washed out. She directs that to Adam, who closes his eyes in relief. She's going to be taking a leave of absence to recover, and since I will be helping to take care of her in the short term, Indira will be in charge down here. She'll also be taking over sponsorship of you, Aaron. Aaron, clearly painfully aware of the broad, innocent smile on Indira's face, nearly chokes on his Weetabix. Hi, he says when he recovers. Hello, Aaron, Indira says. I'm looking forward to getting to know you. Last night's indulgence will not be repeated, Edie continues, borrowing Beatrice's tones. So expect to sleep in your own beds tonight. Nonetheless, we do recognize that none of the 4 of you have yet to engage in violence against another resident or any of the sponsors, with the exception of Steph. Aaron grabs Stefan by a shoulder and shakes him. Yeah, killer! Stefan pushes him off. Continued good behavior will come with privileges. More media on your computers, more varied food, that kind of thing. Obviously, the opposite is also true. You won't be seeing the others for a while. That doesn't mean we're doing anything sinister with them, she adds quickly. I know you saw Declan. We're not doing that. Not yet, anyway. But their presence is disruptive and they need individual attention. She sighs. It's more work, of course. I'm super sorry you kidnapped us and then we gave you a really hard time about it, Aaron says. Thank you, Indira says. You're much more thoughtful than Maria said. Aaron blinks and Stefan wonders if he should be taking notes. Edie stands and walks around towards Adam, trailing her fingers idly on the table. When she reaches him, she places a hand on his shoulder. Adam, I'm going to be away for about a week. Indira will be here to help, and if you need to reach me, you can ask her or any of the other sponsors, okay? The rest of the time, Steph will take care of you, right? She glances at Stefan, eyes wide. Yeah, Adam, he says. Anything I can do, just ask. Edie thanks him with a smile. I don't want to be a burden, Adam says quietly. You're not, Stefan says. Stick with him, Edie says, correcting herself and momentarily going still, controlling her reaction to the error. Sorry, Steph. Long day, long night. Don't worry about it. Teacher's pet, Aaron whispers, grinning as Edie leaves the room until the other sponsors start talking between themselves. Better to be a teacher's pet than stuck in the cells with Will. It's the wrong thing to say, and he realizes a second later when Adam almost chokes on his Weetabix. Before there was the anthill and the redevelopment by the lake, there was the Central Quad, the 60s project which transformed its collection of disparate teaching buildings and other facilities, one of which had only properly been part of the Royal College of St. Almsworth, into a real university. Its crowning feature, a brutalist spike driven into a square of green space and surrounded on all sides by administrative and office spaces, in what once had been the main library, now repurposed as a student hangout and study area. The central tower, no longer the jewel of the Royal College and slightly shabby with age, now houses a laundromat, a small supermarket, one of two bookshops, and on top it retains its only original feature, Cafe One, a restaurant that's never quite caught on as a trendy social hub the architects intended, which now mainly sells sausage sandwiches, baked potatoes, and other cheap portable food to hungover students for prices which render it only slightly more cost-effective than taking a bus into town and going to a real cafe. If you keep pouring coffee into me, I'll never get any sleep, Christine says, glaring at her cup and her abandoned, half-finished sandwich. That's literally the idea, Lorna says. You can go, you know, Christine says, leaning on her hand, unable to keep her mounting exhaustion under control. See your friends and stuff? I can just slouch here till they kick me out. Someone will take pity on me eventually and drag me to the front steps of the dorm. Lorna snorts. Nope, Vicky's meeting is here, and she'd be kind of annoyed with me if I wandered off, don't you think? Besides, you are my friend. It's very kind of you to say. It's true. Lorna slaps Christine on the wrist, almost destabilizing her. You are even worse than Vicky, Tina. Does everyone at your dorm have massive self-esteem issues, or is it just you two? And Pippa. Vicky, self-esteem issues? Christine wants to ask her if she's talking about the same bubbly, outgoing girl that Christine knows. Instead, she just says, just us. Why do you think we all know each other? I'm guessing support group for the terminally shy. We meet once a month, Christine says, and sips her coffee. How many cups so far today? She's losing count. With paper bags over her heads, and with the still holding her cup, she twirls her little finger in a circle near her eye and almost overbalances. Shit, sorry. And with the holes cut out, so we can see. Lorna gives Christine the same look she gave her in the car. The same one that Christine's sure she could interpret better if she wasn't so fucking tired. And she needs to do better in front of Lorna. It's one thing to be confident and undetectable in front of cis people who, by and large, haven't got a bloody clue about anything. Quite another to be friends with a trans woman. Christine feels a little bit like she did back in the mall, when Paige and Pippa dragged her out to buy dresses, except that Lorna isn't likely to be cruel if she clocks her, just confused. Confused in a way that would end in major problems for Vicky and Dorley. Why'd you have to fall in love with a trans girl, Vic? And why'd you have to be so nice? Can't even resent her for making me nervous. Lorna chews on her own sandwich for a while in silence, still giving Christine the look. Is Vicky okay? She asks eventually, and bites her lip. Yes, I think so. Uncomfortable under Lorna's scrutiny, she starts fiddling with her remaining sandwich, tearing hunks of bread and turning them over in her fingers. She considers eating a bit more. If she really does fall asleep as soon as she gets home, this might be the only thing she eats all day. Hopefully Indira has put the standard email through to her lecturers, or she'll have to wake up the same bullshit in her inbox as she remembers that she was a bad student from the first time around. Are you lying to me, Christine? Lorna says, her voice suddenly hard, and Christine's glad she didn't yet get around to stuffing any more food in her face because she would have choked for sure. I mean, she hasn't said anything to me, Christine says carefully. It's just that... Alright, so in the car, you asked her for pills. Vitamin pills? Christine watches her air quote like a rat watches a cat. The ones you forgot and thought she had. Quality fuck up, Christine. Yeah? You weren't asking about vitamin pills, were you? The caffeine hasn't done anything for Christine's mental acuity, because in an anxious need to fix things, she says the first thing that comes to mind, which is, why wouldn't I have been? Which is exactly the type of thing she'd say if she was trying to be evasive. She puts her coffee down for a moment and holds up her hand, asking for a moment. Yes, she says, thinking as fast as she can under the circumstances. You're right, not vitamins. Has Vicky been lying to me? Lorna asks, quiet and steady. She'd been meeting Christine's gaze if Christine was at all prepared to meet hers. Yes, ever since you met her. No, not as far as I know, but she's taking something. Yes. 2 things, actually. Progesterone and estradiol. Christine never gave much thought as to how Vicky hides her HRT from Lorna. When does she find the time to dissolve the estradiol under her tongue? Christ, what does she say about the scars on her labia? And you know what it is, because you take the same thing, Lorna says with a sigh in her voice, as if almost already tired of Christine. Yes, but I know you don't want to let her down, Christine, or break a promise or whatever, but I can't deal with lies. Lorna leans forward so she can speak quietly. I had a girlfriend before I transitioned, and she lied to me. She pretended she was fine with who I am, with the changes I was starting to go through, but she was lying her ass off. She was already seeing a guy, but she was too chicken to tell me, scared of how I might react. And when I eventually found out, she holds her arms up in front of her face protectively, like I might attack her for it. Like I might beat her. She cried about how she was scared of my reaction. Like I was some abusive boyfriend, not a trans girl, 10 times as scared of what she might do the other way around. Shit, Christine says. I'm sorry, I didn't know. Lorna sniffs. Yeah, well, now you do. And I'm done being lied to, Christine. And I know you and Vic have a bond, some shared experience or something. I see it with you and her and Paige and even Pippa when you're all together, and I've never asked because I know she has some shit in her past just like I have mine. I know what she's like when she gets scared. She must notice Christine's flinch because she reaches forward, takes Christine's hands and modifies her tone, softer, less accusing. And I'm not asking about that, about whatever happened to all of you, but I need to know about this pill thing. I need the truth. There are procedures for this. There's evidence. There's ready-made and available lockers back home. Scripts to recite. Christine never put much effort into memorizing any of it because she never expected to end up with someone who didn't know her, past and present, which was obviously a mistake, equal in stupidity to all the other mistakes she's made recently. Fuck it. Improvise. She covers Lorna's hand with hers, squeezes, and sits back in the chair, implying discomfort, which gets Lorna to let go. She nods, pretending to grudgingly accept that now is finally time to tell the truth, while she rearranges herself in such a way that she can drop her hand into her bag and hit the button on the side of her phone. Christine made sure she got the type of phone with a superfluous extra button, as it summons a proprietary voice assistant that approximately 1% of this phone's owners actually use, but which on hers has been set to launch a voice recorder app. A double press later will send the recording, zip it and encrypt it, and bounce it to the security room at Dorley, where somebody will pick it up and act on it if it seems necessary. Improvise with backup. I was really out of it in the car, she says, looking down at the table, ignoring the guilt constricting her throat. As you saw, partly because I was really tired, partly because I missed my pill last night. She meets Lorna's eyes, hoping she can keep her gaze steady. Venlafaxine. Those are the pills I take. The ones I asked her about. It's an SNRI. I've been taking it for years, and so is Vicky. At least I thought she was. I don't know if she actually still does. We took it together a long time ago, but never really talked about it much. My choice. She rubs the back of her neck. Kind of ashamed of it. Needing the help. And I know I shouldn't be. I know lots of people take this stuff. I know it's normal, but I've never been able to get over it. And in the car, I was so knackered. I wasn't thinking straight. I just blurted it out. Vicky wasn't lying to you, Lorna, when she went along with my story about it being vitamins. She was kind of just protecting you. Protecting me. Protecting you from me. Christine shrugs. From myself, not you. She knows I'm neurotic. Finally, a spot of truth. Why wouldn't she tell me about them? She sits back heavily. I'm not some ableist piece of shit that's going to care that her girlfriend takes something that helps her. I'd be a pretty big hypocrite if I did, if you think about it. Yeah, Christine says, I guess. And she might not take them anymore anyway. Like I said, we don't really talk about it. Like a switch being flipped, Lorna's face breaks into a smile. She reaches across the table and touches Christine's hand again. Thank you, Christine. And I'm sorry for pushing. It's just, you know how it is. The shit in your past never quite lets you go. Christine nods, matches Lorna's smile, squeezes Lorna's fingers, displays sincerity, and with her other hand she hits the button on her phone twice, sending the audio file back to Dorley where someone will listen to it and shoot Vicky a message through the Dorley build of consensus, which will manifest on her phone as a notification about a system update and open the messaging app in the floating window that will disappear as soon as she acknowledges the receipt. Before she meets back up with them at Cafe 1 and have her story straight and ready to tell. I get it, Christine says. When you've been lied to before, it's hard to trust again. Hey, baby, did you miss me? Edie? Hi, Maria. Edie! Hey, don't sit up so fast. Let me come to you. Where did B go? And Abby? Aunt B's taking Abby home so they can get a bit of distance and a bit of rest, respectively, which means that for the next little while, I've got you all to myself. God, that's really good. Sorry about that, by the way. I wake up hard at the moment. It takes me a second to get orientated. How do you feel? Honestly, like complete shit. Even with the curtains shut, it's too bright in here, and these headaches keep coming and going. Not to mention, ouch, the small matter of the dent in my skull. Don't touch it. Yeah, sorry. I haven't been seriously hurt like this since grandmother's time. I've lost all my helpful wound care habits. Poor baby. Hey, Edie, can you do me a favor? Anything, Maria. Sit with me, up here. Maybe hug me a little. Auntie's been wonderful, obviously, but she's been treating me like I'm made of glass. I've got you. Come on, move over. You might have to help me with that too. Okay, okay, I've got it. Just lie still, Maria. I'm going to pull the sheet and you with it. That'll get the sheets all messed up. So someone will have to fix it. Let them, they can bill it. Elle's money isn't infinite. Might as well be. Besides, how much can it cost? Item, fitting new sheets after scandalous hospital bed lovemaking episode, $10. Lovemaking, Edie. If you play your cards right. Now, stiffen up. I'm going to pull. Edith, you've already pulled. Get it? You had to make the joke, didn't you, baby? Couldn't stiffen up like I asked. Had to exercise your smart mouth. It's the only thing on my face that still works. Okay, lie still. I'm going to join you on... Oh, Edie, are you okay? Yeah, just spectacularly uncoordinated. Give me a moment. Shall I call someone? No, it's fine. I'm fine, see? See? Impressive. Standing on your own two legs. Don't make fun, Maria. You're right. And you're doing better than I am right now. I suppose concussed women in glass hospitals shouldn't throw, plastic jelly containers. Rules for life. Okay, I'm take off my heels this time. I learned from my mistakes. You're so wise. And you're so mean. It's how they made me. Seriously, it was a design call. It required quite a lot of beating. Maria, don't joke about that. Sorry, but I'm going to. My dark past, my rules. What if I kiss you? Will that make you stop? Maybe. Let's try it. Yeah. Yeah, Edie, I think that worked. Shall I keep going? Yeah, just gently. Very, very gently. Ouch, sorry. No, it's okay. But maybe let's just lay here for a while together? Let's. I have get well cards. Who from? Let's see, one from all the second years. Look, Faye drew you something. Oh, that's actually really sweet, right? And here's one from the sponsors, and what's that one? It's from Aaron. How do you get a card in the first place? Indira, of course. I feel like it's a good thing I can't focus well enough to read his scribble. What does it say? Life down here isn't the same without you judging everything that I do. Sorry about your head. Hope you don't get any weird scars. Aaron. Huh, surprisingly polite. Oh, and there's one from Edie. Maybe no more cards for a while. Sure. We could, did you bring your phone? Of course. Why? It's probably the best time for you to sell me in one of those bands you're going on about. Really? You wouldn't run screaming. I can't. Right. Yes, of course. Let me just find the right track. Here we go. Oh. Yeah, this is okay, Edie. You really thought my taste was that bad? Yeah, kinda. You tried to make me listen to Lit once. That was the automatic playlist. Lies. Who's this then? Placebo. I was so into them when I was like 13. The singer, he's so hot. Oh, he was back in the 90s. He might not be anymore. I haven't looked. I really wanted posters of him. I wasn't allowed. Him. Aren't you incredibly gay? Here's my exception. Do I have competition? Absolutely not. You're hotter. So sweet. What's this song called? Every You, Every Me. I like it. Good. Edie, yeah? Do you think the boys will be okay? I mean, this feels like it's going to be a difficult year, and the boys will be fine, Maria. I promise. We'll take care of them. All except Declan, right? He was beyond us. I hope so. I hope that... I don't like that we have to do that. Me neither, baby. But we help the ones that we can help. Yeah. Hey, Maria? Yes? I was so scared. I was too. We're more careful from now on. We will. I love you, Edie. Love you too, Maria. Text chat. Victoria Robinson. SNRIs, huh? Christine. I'm sorry. I know it's a huge fuck up. I tried to put it all on me. How did it go after you dropped me off back here? It was hard. I had to promise her I have no other secrets. Shit. I'm really sorry. Yeah, well, it's done now. You need to know the news story, and so does everyone else, so tell Paige and everyone, okay? I tried venlafaxine for 6 months when I saw it working for you, but the side effects were too much, so I tapered off. I wasn't taking them at all when I started seeing Lorna, and we never talk about it because you have mental health hang-ups. I mean, accurate. It's venlafaxine, by the way, no R. God damn it, Christine. I don't have time to learn the names of any new things. Unlike some people, I actually go to my lectures. I'm sorry. Again, I hate that I created this problem for you. Stop. Vic, I'm really sorry. If there's anything I can do to help, please tell me. You can't help, but it's okay. No one can. And I want you to stop worrying about it, okay? This is already a fucked up couple of days, and you've had enough to deal with without my disaster zone of a personal life complicating things more. You've been dropped right into the thick of it by a bunch of nihilistic old bitches who don't have the basic empathy to let you graduate before they rope you into Dorley's never-ending cycle of absolute bullshit. My problems are not your problems. Are you okay? I'm fucking not. But I'm sorry to go on about it, but I don't have anyone to vent to about this stuff, and it kind of builds up. I'm locked in a cubicle in the toilets in the fucking anthill, and as soon as I sat down, I realized that some bitch left the seat wet, so that's not helped my mood. I'm actually glad you are where you are right now. You've got most of that sponsor shit off your back, and you're in a position to do a lot of good. You can really help those girls. Future girls. Fuck, I never knew how to assign genders at this point. But you can be there for them, and that's amazing, because God help me, I still believe in Dorley, even if sometimes I'm not sure why. I'm just sick of lying to Lorna. I feel like I'm on a roller coaster ride with her. When I'm with her, I'm so happy. Happier than I ever thought I could be. Happier than I even thought possible. Definitely happier than I would have been without Bea and Maria and their intervention. But when I'm on my own, all I can think about are the lies. Because I'm a liar, Tina. That's what I am. And this with the venlafaxine is just another lie. Just another little fucking lie for the pile. I want to marry her, Tina. I want to spend forever with her. She's the most amazing person I've ever met. She's funny and brave and kind, and she sings like an angel, and sometimes she looks right at me and tells me the worst fucking pun you've ever heard in your life, and it kills me right there on the spot because I can't believe this fucking dork loves me back. And I'm stuck with this stupid new personal history that says I'm a cis woman, so I can't even empathize with her trans shit too hard just in case I know too much or anticipate her needs too often or accidentally prove myself to be in possession of a legible fucking gender. I'm sick of playing the clumsy cis girl, learning trans shit on the internet and deliberately getting things wrong sometimes. I'm sick of this role I cast myself in before I even understood what my future was going to be like. I want her to know me, Tina, through and through. Everything, my sins included, what I did, who I am, how I got here, but I'm a liar. Have you ever thought about just telling her? Ha 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 ha. Part of it, I mean. Ha 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 ha. Which part? I can't claim to be trans without fatally undermining our whole relationship and been lying to her since the moment that we met. So if I tell her, I might as well tell her everything, because she'll probably figure it all out once she has even one of the puzzle pieces anyways, and then she burns Dorley to the ground, and me along with it. I'm sorry I made things worse. Tina, you dropped a pebble onto a mountain. It's fine. I apologize. I shouldn't have dumped this shit on you. We're friends, right? You can dump way more on me than you do. I just thought you were effortlessly cruising through all this real life shit. It's a bit of a relief, honestly, to discover that you're just as screwed up as I am. Tina, you have no idea. You spelled venlafaxine with an R again, by the way. Who gives a crap? I was only fake on it for 6 months, and maybe it makes total sense that I can't fucking spell it. I never thought I'd miss the simmering air of barely controlled rage, but I do. It gave every afternoon a certain structure, like we couldn't just fall asleep on the couch digesting our veggie lasagna and trying hard to ignore the telly, because at any moment, Will might jump out and start lecturing us on the evils of incarceration, or how ACAB applies to even hot lady kidnappers, or how it's actually okay to beat the shit out of your brother if you're super homophobic, or actually a really big closet case. He may scare the bejesus out of me half the time, but at least he has passion. What am I passionate about, Steph? I barely have any strong feelings that aren't about sex or about how much I hate Weetabix, and there's only so much sex I can't have, and only so much Weetabix I can't throw at Martin, and I'm bored. Look at me, Steph. It's only 1:30 dick in the afternoon, and I'm already sitting on the couch like you do. Get down from there. Make me. You'll hurt yourself with the sofa tips over, which it will, because your center of gravity's all wrong. How come it's okay for you to sit like that then? I'm taller than you, longer legs. Some people have all the luck. Agreed. Steph, I'm so bored. I know. I can't even be mad about the chest thing anymore. I've gone through all that. It's just like, well, I have erogenous nipples and now I'm just kind of used to it. The absolute banality of life down here has utterly overcome my ability to stay angry. Like, I'm still pissed off, don't get me wrong, but it just comes in waves. Like me. What? Ugh, fuck you. Ha, you laughed. Fuck you. Got you. Yeah, and you got me, Aaron. I thought for a brief second you might be experiencing an emotion. Idiot. Yeah. Wanna come to my room and watch movies? Sure, but I thought you were supposed to be keeping an eye out for Adam. And thus, by extension, so am I. Yeah, but who knows how long he's going to be talking to Will? Indira can just knock on my door if she wants me to watch him again. Indira, huh? You already know her name. Suck up. Shut up. Kiss ass. Shut up. Mwah. That's you kissing sponsor butts. Yeah? Then why did you ask if you could send Maria a get well card? That's basic human decency, Steph, and I'm a model citizen. Uh-huh. I am. Ask any of the boys who used to beat the shit out of me. They used to call me a girly little goody two-shoes, and I'm pretty sure that qualifies me to go straight to the priesthood without all the hassle of seminary. Aaron, if I ever meet any of the boys who used to beat the shit out of you, I won't be asking them polite questions. I will, I don't know, probably yell a lot. My hero, get off me. Okay, God, fine. You know I'm sensitive there. And yet you still refuse to try them out. Ha, shows what you know. What do you mean by that? Come on, let's pick a movie. Go, no, Steph, tell me, what do you mean by that? Nothing. Now come on, tell me. Nope. Steph, I'm serious. Have you, in fact, wanked yourself to completion using only your nipples? Steph, come back, I need to know, it's for science. Welcome to the Trans Youth UK, not affiliated with the Egg Society of Great Britain. Cicada. Hi all. Hi Lorna. Hey. Hi bitch. Welcome back. So, before I start, I want to say, I have some shit to talk about, and this may be TMI, but also really sensitive, so if anyone here has a problem with that, let me know and I'll take it to a thread. I think we're pretty much all fine with that. I mean, look at us. I don't think any of us really has a concept of TMI anymore. You should see the stuff that Penny's been posting in the NSFW channels. Okay, good. You should go look at what I've been posting. It's unpleasant. Enticing. Okay, so the other part of this is that I need to talk about Vicky and me and our relationship and everything. I need all of you to promise to keep it quiet because I'm not ready to talk about this with her yet. And I tried Googling and I can't come up with any combination of search terms that gets me an answer that doesn't scare me to death. And also looking at the search results for too long gives me mad dysphoria, so I have to come here and ask people with more experience. We can message Ralph after this and he can erase all the messages if you like, and no one here is going to talk. Lorna, serious question, are you okay? God, Gemma, I don't know, this is all sort of scary. It's all wrapped up in shit which is scarier still. You know how long I've been with Vicky, right? We've been living together and sleeping together and basically been all up in each other's lives, yeah? And I've known she has some capital T trauma in her past because she's told me as much, and frankly, I can see it in her eyes sometimes. Like sometimes she just gets really frightened, like someone's coming for her, and I talk quietly to her and remind her where she is, tell her where she's safe, and she hates being alone in the dark. There's a lot she hasn't told me, and there's a lot I haven't asked about. And I know, healthy relationships, blah, 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 built on trust, blah, blah, blah. But even though she's cis, I'm getting the feeling that her shit is at least the size of my shit, and I've never wanted to press on that, if that makes sense. Yeah, perfect sense. So I'm not really, I don't know how to say this. I don't really go for sex, yeah? I want it, I need it, but with what I have down there and finding anal stuff uncomfortable, I haven't been able to do what I want. And it's frustrating as fuck because I want to, but I'm waiting on bottom surgery and it's years away, and sometimes I think I was stupid to go for FFS, but I need that confidence, yeah? And Vicky's happy to wait for me, but I'm still frustrated. Understandable, you're a sexual being, unable to satisfy her own needs or have them properly satisfied by the one you love. I think a lot of us here get that. Yeah, so this is the other thing. We do finger stuff, yeah? Not mouth stuff, because I'd be super happy to go down on her, but she doesn't want me to until she can reciprocate, and I believe her, but I also see her face sometimes when we talk about it, and I think that's where some of her shit is. She seems almost scared. So I've been thinking about that for a while, wondering if I should ask her, and always deciding it's a bad time. But a couple of days ago, we were showering together, just to save time, because it's super nice. She dropped the shampoo, and I picked it up. Please don't laugh. I saw her vagina really clearly. You don't normally? Not like that. Not, we're in the bedroom, we've got the lights low, we're both kind of busy. But in the shower, with her pubes all flat, and the water and the sun shining right on her, it's different, okay? And she's got these scars I've never seen before. One on either side, where the vagina lips meet the rest of her body. They're really faint, but they're there. Vagina lips. She has scars on her labia majora. Yes, that sounds right. I don't have one yet. I don't know these things. One scar on each side. Very thin. Basically identical. Really, really obviously surgical. I've been wondering, was she assaulted and had to have surgery to recover? Did she have some other kind of operation? Is she intersex? Did she perhaps have some work done when she was young? If so, she might not even be aware she has those scars if they're that faint. You should tread carefully around this topic, I think. That's not all. This morning, I picked a friend of ours up, and they talked about some pills our friend needs, and she thought Vicky might have them. And it took me a while to get out of her. She was talking about SNRIs. I started talking to Vicky. She said she was on them for a while. They didn't help her, so she went off them before we even started dating. But I can't stop thinking about all the things I don't know about her. Okay, Lorna, first thing I want you to do is take a deep breath. Breathe it in, let it fill your lungs, breathe it out, slowly. Can you do that for me? Yeah, good. Now I need you to read very carefully what I write here, and please wait for me to finish, everyone. You're catastrophizing. You found a couple of things you didn't know about, and you've put them together with the fact that there are things about your lives that you have yet to discuss with each other, and it's put you into a spiral. An understandable one, considering your history. Looking at what you've written, it seems that Vicky simply didn't think the SNRIs were important since she didn't take them anymore. That's fairly normal. It's certainly if I'd been on some kind of medication years ago, I wouldn't normally discuss it with a new lover unless it came up in a conversation. So that seems fairly open and shut to me. You didn't know something about her, now you do. Unless it makes her less attractive to you or less worthy of your love, I'd be very surprised either way, then you can probably put that whole thing to bed right now. And either she doesn't know about her scars, none of us can lean down and look at ourselves down there from that sort of angle you were at after all, or she does and they're a part of her shit, as you call it. This seems like something you should talk about when both of you have a good block of time, say a whole evening, to cover what might be a traumatic subject for both of you. Yeah, maybe. Do you have a reason to believe that Vicky's lying to you? No, I don't think so. She's always been so kind and open and loving. Fuck, I feel really stupid. Talk to her. And talk to us too. Preferably before that you next build up something so much in your head. You're not stupid, Lorna. You're in a very stressful time in your life. You're in your first relationship since transition, and your first relationship after a very painful breakup with someone who hurt you very badly. It makes sense that you'd be on edge. You're right. Why are you always so fucking right, Gemma? I'm very old. Girl, aren't you like a year or two older than I am? Positively ancient. Lamau, I feel the call of the grave. Okay, Lorna, are you feeling better now? Yeah, I am. I'm still kind of running on total panic, yeah? But it'll pass. I think I'm good. Better, anyway. Great, because I've been waiting for what feels like hours to make fun of Ray. What did I do? A sexual being? Are you like 105, like Gemma? What's wrong with the wording? Just because it wasn't pointlessly juvenile like what you said. What would you have said anyway, Penny? Raymond Noodle changed his name to Raymond Asexual Being Noodle. I didn't do that. Who did that? Probably some kind of awful computer nerd. I have my suspicions. You can't prove anything. So, I'm going to go. I need to go home via the takeaway so I can feed Vicky some really good food to make up for the horribly painful stuff we're going to have to talk about. Gemma, can you message Ralph for me? Get him to clear the logs? Already done. Take care, Lorna, and you can contact me if you need to talk more. Love you, Lorna. Bye. Cicada has signed off. Good luck. Damn, mister. Can't take myself seriously with this name, Raymond Asexual Being. And I can't change it back. Penny, what did you do? I'm reporting you to the police. They won't take you seriously with that name. Hey, kids. Hey, Indira. I'd love to just drop in for a chat, but I actually need your help, Steffi. With Adam. He won't talk to me, and Edie's at the hospital with Maria, so it has to be you. What happened? He has to see Will. Yeah, we saw. I was a fool to let him. I know. We said we would, and we have to honor our promises, but it was a bloody idiot move on my part to let them see each other again so soon. Adam was already pretty freaked out, and Will was all steamed up, and Raph and Ollie were in the other cells contributing the occasional nugget of fucking wisdom like a pair of bears shitting in a river. So all that happened was they upset each other. So much yelling, I'm surprised you didn't hear it. We were watching Clueless, and there's quite a lot of concrete between us and them. I said almost surprised. Look, Steffi, I hate to be a pain, especially as we barely know each other, but I really do need you to talk to him. Urgently. It's that bad. He's not talking. You let me into his room? Of course. And Aaron, I'm afraid you'll have to go back to your own room or the common area. You can't stay in someone else's room on your own. Rules. It's okay, he'll probably go jack off. Hey! I mean, accurate, but hey! There's 9. 2 on her desk, 7 in the drawer. 1 per month, so 9 months. That's how long it's been since Christine has last opened a report on her old family. Her old life. And now here they are in their black folders spread out on the bed in front of her like massive, ugly tarot cards. She snorts at the mental image, imagines shuffling them and dealing out a hand, analysing her deliberately abandoned past via the mystical arts. The last one she opened 10 months ago was the one that she confirmed they dropped any pretense of searching for her. Abandoned one last time, first by a father who didn't give a shit, then by a mother who stood by her abusive husband, and finally by both of them, forgetting her/him, consigning their son to a memory. Abby's parents, the last Christine heard, are still looking. Still got a private investigator on the case. Christine's both jealous of the relationship Abby had with her parents and impressed with Dorley's obfuscation of her past. After so many years, you'd think they would have had some success. Steph found them and she's just an amateur. Except Steph got lucky, didn't she? Her surrogate older sister/brother was taken and they happened to run into each other. The whole thing is ultimately Abby's fault if one were inclined to assign blame, both for taking on Melissa and letting her off campus. Sponsors are supposed to be wary about locals, especially when it comes to taking them up to begin with and allowing them out. Steph got lucky. And that's one of the things that most Dorley girls can be said to lack is luck. Abby, the poor girl. At least Christine's curiosity is mostly driven by guilt and nostalgia. Abby wants nothing more than to have her family back. Fuck it. No more pontificating. She slides a finger through the seal on the most recent folder, delivered only days ago, and drops it back onto the bed, open on its first page. The picture is hard to look at. Christine's clearest memory of her father is from the day she took a blow meant for her mother. She's dreamed dozens of times the way his face twisted, transitioning from anger to disbelief into, of all things, shame as he cradled his injured son's wrist in his hands. These last couple of years, the dreams have all ended the same way, diverging from reality. Her father's apologies die in his spittle-soaked mouth as he realizes what his son has become and raises his arm once more. There's a carer in the photo, tending to him, captured in the act of feeding him. In Christine's long absence, the downstairs study has been converted to a bedroom and he's lying in a narrow bed, surrounded by medical equipment. Christine, fresh out of Maria's room, can almost hear the quiet, insistent beeping. Her mother is nowhere to be seen. Turn the page. There she is. Christine's mother is waiting in dungarees and this ugly sun visor she got in Portugal, squinting into the bright morning. Fuzzily out of focus, but obviously less than half her former size. Her clothes look large on her. Wasting away, both of them. Get out, she wants to yell it at the photograph. Leave him. Let him rot. Let him die in the tomb he built around himself, the enormous house that greed and stress and 3 fucking heart attacks brought. Her mother's not even 45 yet, 20 years younger than him. She could still have a life, but she won't, because where would she go? She'll potter around the old house doing the same old chores until one day the worthless piece of shit she married finally dies, and alone she'll probably follow him. Christine doesn't realize she's crying until Abby peeks in through the half-open door and lunges for her, practically collides with her, throws aside all the papers and photographs and unopened folders and scoops Christine into her arms. Suddenly aware of Abby's presence and how desperately she needs her, Christine clings to her sister, buries herself, wants to scream into Abby's shoulder, but keeps it quiet and continuous. She's so fucking stupid, Abs. She always was. She could have left him at any time. She could have taken me with her. Could have got us both out. She had money before they met. Not loads, not like him, but enough, definitely enough. I know, I looked, I even took some for myself. Once, when I hated her, when I had to be around her all the time and hear her bullshit excuses. I saw her with bruises, still loving that fucker, and I hated her, so I took from her. Abby, how could I do that to her? I gave it back. All of it. I did. But that was all I did. I didn't help. I didn't get her out. Just like she didn't get me out, but I should have. The last time I saw her, not long before Dorley, before this, she looked so fucking brittle. Like the slightest touch would break her. And I remember thinking that as soon as Dad got home, he'd do just that. And I didn't want to see it. I couldn't see it, so I ran out without even saying goodbye. And now there she is. Not even living, just a fucking automaton traipsing around that fucking house doing the same stupid shit she always did, waiting for him to die, and there's nothing I can even do. I even know what I would do if I could. God, Abs, look at her. Look at her. There's nothing left of her. Just look. Abby holds her, strokes her back, whispers nothing words to her, and lets her get it all out. As the tears fade from Christine's vision, she can see something else. One of the photos that Abby scattered ended up near the head of the bed, right in front of Christine as she leans on Abby's shoulder, and its glossy paper catches the light, lending the depiction of Christine's childhood home an ethereal quality, like a place that belongs to the afterlife. Later, much later, when they've tidied up the pictures and put the folders away, when they've watched some stupid cartoons out of Edie's network folder, when Paige has texted to say she'll be late because she's gone to the library to ask if Christine would like her to pick her something up for dinner, Christine and Abby sit, shoulders against each other on the floor of Christine's room, leaning their heads on the couch behind them, spent but calm. You could go see her, you know. Christine shakes her head. No. Rules. As if they matter to you. What would I say? She's not exactly the type of person who embraces queer people, and I definitely can't say I was turned into a girl against my will. She thinks her only child is dead. That changes people. Enough? Sometimes. No. Think about it. Pinching the bridge of her nose, Christine says, Abs, I really don't want to think about anything right now. Sure, I won't push. Thanks, Abs. Love you. Love you. Later, after Paige texts to say she'll be up in 10 minutes with curry, Abby pauses the music and repositions, facing Christine and looking very serious. Christine, she says, and takes a deep breath, lets it out like she doesn't know how to continue. Yes? So, I haven't been around much. You know that. And I want to tell you why. But I need to do it my way, okay? Sure. You free Saturday? I can be. Abby reaches into a bag and pulls out a page from her notebook with an address written on it. A restaurant in Armsworth, according to her neatly penned note. Not one Christine knows. Be there at 1 o'clock. Meet me. Okay. What's all this about, Abby? Pay for the taxi with cash, don't use your card, and don't tell anyone where you're going. You want me to spoof the tracker on my phone? You can do that? I've just been turning mine off. Yeah, I can do that. Good. Yes, please do that. Abby, this is starting to sound dangerously criminal. A little bit, yeah. It feels wrong to shut Aaron out again, but Stefan needs everything to stop for a while. No more questions, no more worried eyes, and treating him for answers he can't give. It was bad enough when it was just Aaron. Adam, lost without Will, upset by his friend's rejection of his concerns, fearing for Will's life, begged Stefan for reassurance, and Stefan gave the only reassurance he had. Bullshit. Endless bullshit. The first time he knew there was something wrong with Mark was shortly after their shared birthdays, on Stefan's 13th year and Mark's 17th. Their birthdays fell on a weekend that year, which was serendipitous. Weekday birthdays suck, even for the lucky ones whose birthdays don't fall inside the school year. On Stefan's birthday, the first of the two, Mark had been his usual but considerate self. And he even brought a friend, a girl called Shahida, who he'd talked about on and off for years. It was lovely to finally meet her, and Stefan put on his best behaviour, wanting to impress this woman who might or might not have been Mark's girlfriend. And while Russell made fun of his exaggerated politeness, she was kind and laughed with him, not Russell, and took Mark away on some errand. She looked forward to seeing him again. But on Sunday, she wasn't there. Mark's birthday came and went without her, and when Stefan asked after her, Mark just said sometimes things change, sometimes relationships don't work out, and maybe it's for the best. They weren't right for each other, he said. They're both going to move on, he said. He hadn't said it like he believed it, he said it like he thought it might be the last thing he ever said. That was the start of it, as far as Stefan saw. It probably started years before, but childish eyes only ever see the obvious. Whatever eventually brought Mark to Dorley Hall, it was a long time in the making. There's pictures of Melissa in the network, and Stefan pages through them on his phone. She seems happy in most of them, even the earlier ones, the ones where she looks more like Stefan remembers her, a blur of her past and future selves. The girl still learning that he's met in the supermarket that day. God, he hopes she's happy. She doesn't know he's here. Abby said it'd be a bad idea to tell her, and she's Melissa's only link to Dorley, more or less. When she left, she left. Stefan can't decide if it's a good or bad that she doesn't know, but after half the population in the building got a close look at him yesterday, he's at least happy that someone doesn't get to see what years of fear and denial made him. She'll see him when he's worth fucking seeing. He rolls over onto his back and glares at the ceiling, tries to imagine the white noise becoming a physical presence, overlaid on the concrete like static on an old-style television. There's something about Adam that reminds him of how Mark was in that year. Maybe it's just the obvious loneliness. Loneliness as a habit, loneliness as a defense, loneliness that briefly kept Will at bay. People pair off down here. That's what Pippa said. Him and Aaron, as unlikely as that would have seemed a few weeks ago. Christine and Paige, Abby and Melissa, Adam and Will. But Will shouted at Adam, called him a collaborator, a broken man, a weakling, and several words out of the vocabulary that Will had up until that point seemed to have abandoned. A cornered animal reaching for all of its weapons, no matter how grotesque. Adam left in tears. There wasn't much of a conversation to be had. Yes, Will is a piece of shit. Yes, he'll be okay if he learns how to cooperate. No, Stefan does not know if he'll ever actually do so. No, Stefan does not know what's happening down here. No, he doesn't think they're all going to die eventually. Yes, he does think they'll all be released when the sponsors think they're ready. No, Stefan is not going to leave him. No, Stefan is not stupid enough to assault a sponsor. Yes, we can say your prayer together. Stefan was surprised by the wording. God, your grace is your most precious gift. Please, Lord, make me worthy of it. Not one he had encountered back at the church he avoided attending. Yes, we can watch movies. Adam likes those cheesy movie rom-coms, painfully straight and filled with Christmases and horrible sweaters, and Dorley has a folder full of them. As they watched, Adam told Stefan where he came from. It came out in fragments, whenever someone or something in the movie reminded him of something. Stefan put the fragments together like a puzzle, quite lost the thread of the movie. Adam's the first son of a founding family, and thus the church, and where Adam says church, Stefan hears cult, laid expectations on him from birth, colossal ones. And in his younger days, he bucked them, but not out of arrogance or confidence. Adam is kind, and there's only so many times you can force a kind boy to tell strangers they're going to hell before you break him. Stefan's parents got religion back when he was in primary school. It was the quiet, local kind, and Stefan never found it particularly restrictive until he caught a sermon. On one of the Sundays, he lost the stay-at-home-and-watch cartoons argument about the sins of homosexuality. It was difficult after that, as his self-realization grew, to not feel like the enemy lived in his own home. Whatever he was, whoever he eventually became, he realized he would no longer be welcome. He turns the phone over in his hands and watches the pictures of Melissa. He's not even really looking at anymore to catch up with the screen, bouncing from portrait to landscape and back. Stefan is exhausted. It's hard to even be upset anymore. Like Aaron said, you can't stay angry forever. Even if he turned it into a joke, he was right. You can't stay angry forever. You can't stay guilty forever. Can't even be dysphoric forever. After a while, hands holding the phone, the knuckles he hates the shape of, the bony wrists, become geometric, abstract. Repetition dulls the sharpest edge. His phone buzzes. He almost drops it. Pippa. You okay, Steph? Not really. I came by and knocked, but you couldn't hear me with those headphones on. Kind of the point. I know. I thought I'd wanted to give you your privacy, but I have to update you all the same. Indira's with Adam. He's talking to her now, thanks to you. I'm glad. Why is he even here? Yeah, I get he's probably said a bunch of phobic stuff because his church/cult is evil and shit and filled his head with garbage, but you just get someone away from their abusers and help them adjust. You don't turn them into a girl. I actually don't know why he's here. Edie brought him in, and she'll have had Maria's approval and Aunt B's. I can't help but feel like you lot are getting too casual with the whole forced feminization thing. Maybe. This is my first time on the supply side of feminization. I'm not exactly happy about it. Pippa, I want to stop lying. I hate it. I feel like it's killing me. It's worse than the dysphoria. At least that's just hurting me and no one else. Now Adam's starting to trust me and I'm lying to his face. I even prayed with him. And I know exactly what's going to happen to him and I pretended I don't. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry, just fix it. Okay, I have an idea. Give me a bit, I'll go see Aunt B, and then I can come tell you about it in person. I hate talking by text, it makes my thumb hurt. Okay. He puts on a show, something random off Netflix, and doesn't watch it. When she knocks, and of course she does, even though he gave her permission to come in because she was serious when she said she didn't want to be like a sponsor anymore, even before the truth came out, and that means never taking her presence in his space lightly. She does so with her customary identifier. 3 knocks, a pause. 2 knocks, a pause. 2 knocks. Her sweet insistence on using a special knock so he knows it's her makes him laugh despite his mood. Come in, Pepper, he shouts, sitting up in bed and belatedly pushing the covers back. She enters, smiling broadly, and sits in the free space at the end of the mattress, drawing up her feet under her so she can face him. She said yes, she says. Yes to what? Oh, whoops, I thought I told you. B says we can do disclosure soon. Tomorrow or the day after, maybe, but in the next few days for sure. Is that what I think it sounds like? Yeah, we come clean. Just like that, Pippa holds out her hands like the assistant on a cheesy game show. Just like that. Wow. We were planning on doing it in the next month or so anyway, she says. Now that things are starting to develop, that starts a clock, you know? We've ended up bringing everything forward a little. So how does it go? You just line us all up and say, sorry lads, you're going to be girls? Yeah, that's actually basically how it was with my year. More words, same gist. How did you take it? Now she looks away, some of her enthusiasm sapped. We rioted. Oh, but that's not going to happen. She looks back at Stefan, trying to regain her former good mood. Because we're running a split population now. All the guys who are likely to cause serious trouble are already in the cells. Stefan leans back, thinking. Adam and Aaron might not cause trouble, he says slowly. But will they be okay? Isn't suicide a risk at this point? She nods. We watch very carefully. 2 in the security room at all times watching the cameras. Except yours, obviously. Oh, yeah, thanks. She watches him for a moment, then shuffles closer. Are you okay, Steph? Yeah, he says, surprised. I'm actually... Shit, Pip, I'm actually relieved. I think I'm just tired. Aren't we all? Yeah. How's Maria? See for yourself, Pippa says, and hands him his phone. Within the confines of the room, he can get into the same network resources as he can on his computer, a location-sensitive upgrade that Christine put quite a lot of time into, apparently. He must remember to thank her. Just hop on consensus. There's a new picture pinned. He does so, and he brings up a photo of Maria and Edie, lying next to each other on Maria's hospital bed, holding hands and grinning at the camera. It's not clear he took the picture until he swipes onto the next one and finds a selfie of Abby, sticking her tongue out and holding a multi-pack of Jaffa cakes just out of Maria's reach. There's another of the 3 of them, Abby in the chair, Maria and Edie on the bed together, and Beatrice on the other side, watching what looks like the Lord of the Rings on a laptop. It's taken from Abby's perspective again, and Beatrice is reluctantly V-signing with the rest of them. Cute, he says. Right? Oh, I have something for you. Pippa reaches into her bag and pulls out a wad of tissue paper, which she drops in his lap. Thanks? Unwrap it, doofus. Oh, right. The tissue paper gives way to something that makes his heart leap when finally, in the dim light of the bedroom, he recognizes it. A little rubber elephant in faded blue with tiny heart imprints under its feet and a key ring and chain embedded in its mouth like a giant piercing. There's another lump of tissue, separately wrapped, and while he knows what it's going to be, he's still delighted when the green frog with the keyring through its belly pops out. His frog and elephant. The first gifts his sister ever got him when she was old enough to have pocket money, but not old enough to have much pocket money. A year before Stefan left for Saints, they went to Colchester Zoo together. One of them, the few family trips outside Armsworth that wasn't paid for by the school, and Petra persuaded their mum and dad to let him escort her. She came alive the way she always did when she was away from parental supervision, and skipped through the zoo, identifying animals by sight without having to look at the plaques or videos. She was a Wikipedia animal section veteran, explaining to him as they went what each animal was, what foods they liked, their lifespans, and whether or not they took kindly to humans. She tarried longest around the elephants. She learned later, 3 months later on his birthday, that she managed to get away from him at some point, sneaked into the gift shop, and with almost all of her money bought a pair of keychains. The elephant to represent her and the frog to represent him. When he opened the gifts on his birthday morning, he planted his sloppiest big brother kiss on the top of her head and asked, "Why the frog though?" "You seem like someone who likes frogs," she said. Carefully, Stefan rolls the little rubber animals around in his palm, remembering. He doesn't have many genuinely good memories, but that one's near the top, and the keychains have always been an anchor, a reminder that despite everything, there were bright spots. "Thank you," he says. "I told you I keep them," Pippa says. Stefan laughs. "Yeah, you said, for now, like a real sponsor." "Don't remind me," Pippa giggles. "I remember typing that and just feeling so pompous. I'm glad you sucked at being a sponsor." "Yeah, me too. I'd hate to be good at something like that." "I don't know. Indira seems nice." "True, so..." Pippa drops her bag on the floor by the bed and pushes up to the wall, closer again to Stefan. "What are you watching?" Stefan frowns. I don't remember." "Want to find something else to watch?" "Think I'm bored on Netflix." "Want to listen to music instead?" "Sure. Any thoughts on what?" "Anything but Taylor Swift." "You'd be surprised how many of my playlists you just dismiss." "I really wouldn't." "Okay then, I have something." Edie's been all over group chat, finally going on about getting Maria to listen to her music. Meant to give it a try. Are you game? "Yeah," Stefan says. "Why not?" Pippa fiddles with her phone for a second, trying to hook it remotely to the speakers, but gives up and starts letting her phone speakers instead, turning them up until they distort and then backing off one notch. It's not too loud. It's fine. Synths, a guitar, and a reedy voice fill the room. Stefan reaches around her and pulls the cover over them both, and Pippa leans on his shoulder, dropping the phone between them. "I kind of like this," Pippa says. Stefan just nods, smiling, and rests his head on Pippa's. For the first time in a very long time, He's almost content. No more lies. End of chapter 18.